Welcome back from a snow day long weekend. Sorry I can't be there with you, but we'll press on. That's what we do. So today we are going to look at some applications of percents. Obviously, the reason to learn how to do math is so that you can use it for real world problems. And there are tons and tons of real world problems that use percents. We learned the sort of shortcuts in the percent equation in the last lesson. And so that's what we're going to do for all of these real world type of applications for percents. Percents are used everywhere. They're used when you go shopping, right, in retail, where you have sales that are percents off and stores mark up their prices to a percent. We'll have a whole lesson on that later on in the unit. Same thing with finance. When you have a savings account or if you take out a loan, you have to pay extra money on those things, or there's extra money that is called interest. We'll have a whole topic on those later. Statistics everywhere. Percents are used in everything from just everything. Social studies, health, obviously, and all kinds of stuff. You find percents on your nutrition label. This is the nutrition label for a bowl of oatmeal or a package of oatmeal. The percent of the daily requirements that you get from each nutrient there, or bad things too, like cholesterol or carbohydrates. And then today we're going to concentrate on three things: taxes, tipping, and grade calculations. Three pretty common uses of percents. Okay, so first we're going to start with taxes. Whoops. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I was on the last page instead of the first page. That's better. Okay, taxes. So taxes are money that the government collects. This is how the government pays for everything, right? How I get paid as a teacher, how they build the building, who pays the police, all the military, all of your government services and people are all paid by the collection of taxes. There are three basic types of taxes that people pay. Taxes on what you earn, how much money you make, taxes on the things that you buy, and taxes on what you own. So all of these things, the more money you have or spend or own, the more money you pay to the government, because these taxes are almost all done by percent, right? So we'll look at these one at a time. So we'll start with income tax. So there are two types of income taxes. There's the federal income tax that the U.S. government charges everybody, okay? And depending on how much money you make, we have a graduated tax system. So if you make, the more money you make, the higher percent you pay, okay? So if you make less than $10,000 a year, which is nothing, right? You can't live on that. You pay a 10% income tax. If you make over $500,000 a year, you pay 37% of your income in income tax. Now, this is obviously all before all the deductions, and there's lots of crazy legal rules that people use to pay less taxes, but these are the basic rates, okay, for federal income tax. That's how the U.S. government pays for everything. All of the U.S. military payments may come through federal income tax. Social Security, and lots and lots of programs. Okay, then there's the state. Then also charges an income tax. Well, some states do. Okay, Connecticut, the highest income tax rate in Connecticut is 6.99%. It's graduated also like the federal one, but this chart just gives the highest rates for each state. So Connecticut's, I forget where we're ranked here. It doesn't say on this one, but 6.99% of your income gets paid to the state of Connecticut. California is the highest income tax. They have a 13.3% maximum income tax. And there are 7 states, these ones in gray, that don't have any state income tax at all, which is why people like to move to these states a lot of times. Okay, you do not pay any income tax to the state if you live in Florida, Texas, Alaska, Washington. Okay. Now, they make their money doing other things, obviously, but they do not use income tax. All right, so calculations of income tax. So let's say you make $115,000 a year. How much federal income tax are you going to pay, and how much state income tax are you going to pay? Well, the federal percent for a person that makes $115,000 is 24% from that table. So the question is distilled down to the basic percent question. What is 24% of $115,000? So finding the percent of a number, you might remember from the last lesson, the fast way to do this, convert the percent to a decimal and multiply. So 0.24 times 115,000. And that means you're paying $27,600 a year to the federal government in income tax. Okay. In addition to that, you will also pay your state income tax, which is 6.99% for Connecticut. So the question, what is 6.99% of $115,000? 0.0699. Remember, move the decimal point 2 places to convert percent to decimal, and multiply that by 115,000, and your state bill is $8,039. Okay, so basic, what's the percent of a number? That's how you calculate these income taxes. So, one for you to do. How much does an individual who makes $160,000 pay in federal and state income tax? Federal answer is 0.24 times 160,000, $38,400. And the state, 0.0699 times $160,000, $11,184 in state income tax. So this person that makes $160,000 a year pays almost $50,000 a year, $49,500 to the government. Okay. Next type of tax, sales tax. So sales tax is a tax that you pay on things that you purchase. Okay. In some states, it depends. Some things are taxed and others are not. In Connecticut, like, you don't pay sales tax on groceries, but you do pay sales tax in a restaurant. You pay for clothes and goods, all kinds of items like that. Things that are not personal necessity, I guess, is something like that. So the rate in Connecticut, the Connecticut sales tax rate is 6.35%, 33rd in the country, which is not too bad then, I suppose. The highest sales tax in the country, Arkansas and Tennessee, charge a 9.47% sales tax. And there are 4 states that do not have any sales tax. New Hampshire being one, which is why people go to New Hampshire to shop, right? There's outlets right over the border in New Hampshire because if you go there, you don't have to pay sales tax. Same thing in Delaware. All right, so how do you calculate sales tax? Sales tax is added on to the price that you pay for something. So let's say you see these little plush dolls here, and they cost $11.50 a piece. So how much tax will you pay if you buy one of these guys? What is the sales tax on $11.50? So the question is then, what is 6.35% of $11.50? And again, we're going to find percent of a number by converting the percent to a decimal, 0.0635, multiplied by 1150, and you get your answer of 73 cents. Okay, so 73 cents is the sales tax that is added on to the purchase. So you have to pay that. Now, what's your total price going to be? Okay, there are 2 ways. If you're asked what the total price is, there's 2 ways to calculate the total price. You can calculate the tax like this and add it to the original price. We already did the tax, so you could calculate the tax and add it to the original price and get $12.23. Or if all you want to find is the total price, there is a 1-step method for doing that. And the thing you're looking at is this $11.50 here is 100% of the cost. right? And then you're adding on 6.35%. So what you can really do is find 106.35% of the original cost. You just add these things together. So you put a 1 in front of the decimal there, and you multiply 1150 by, oops, missing a decimal point there. And you multiply 1150 times 1.0635. That will then directly give you the total cost. Comes out to $12.23 again. So this is the one-step method that you can use. If you're only asked for the total price or the final bill, you can use this method. Okay. If you have to calculate the tax separate, then okay, you do it in 2 steps. All right. So one for you. Here's a nice t-shirt here. It is $12.99. What is your total cost going to be, including the 6.35% Connecticut sales tax? If you do it in 2 steps, 0.0635 times $12.99 is 82 cents to add to $12.99. Or you can do it all in 1 step by multiplying by 1.0635 times $12.99. And that gives you your answer of $13.81 directly. Okay. So including tax, $13.81. All right. So that's sales tax. The final kind of taxes that you pay, well, final basic category is property taxes. Okay. This is how the town makes its money. So we talked about federal makes most of their money on income tax. The state makes theirs on both income tax and sales tax. And the town makes most of its money on property taxes. So property taxes are a percent of the value of the property that you own. So your house, if you own your house, or cars, those both get taxed by the town. Okay. And property taxes are set as a mill rate. Instead of a percent, they're calculated as a mill rate. And mill rate is like a per 1,000 instead of a per 100. Okay, so 1 mil is 1/1000th or 0.1%. Okay, and the current, so if you hear everyone talking about the mill rate, that's how high the taxes are for the town. So the current Ledyard mill rate is 34.97, which is, this is out of 1,000. So it's 3.497 out of 100. Or 3.497%. So that's the current property tax mill rate for both cars and real estate houses. So if your house is worth $180,000 and you have a car that's worth $11,500, how much property tax do you pay? Okay, so again, this is like income tax where it's not added on. It's just a percent of a number. So 3.497 as a decimal, 0.03497 times $180,000, and your house or your real estate taxes for the year, $62,94.60, so $6,300 roughly. And if your car was worth $11,500, then 0.03497 times 11,500, and you pay about $400 to the town for your car. Okay, so that's why when people buy new cars and then they get hit with the tax bill for the town, it's like, oh my gosh, I should have just kept the old car. I wouldn't have to pay as much taxes. But that's how it goes. All right, so that's taxes. Taxes are pretty crummy. No one likes to talk about them, but they are almost all calculated by percents. All right, moving on. The next thing we're going to talk about here today is tipping. Tips are money that you pay to people that provide you a service. Okay. It used to stand for to ensure proper service, tips. But it is sort of morphed. You know, it used to be really that you tipped so that you would get good service, right? That if the service was good, you would tip higher. But it has sort of transformed to being expected, really, in many businesses. Okay. And so people that work in restaurants, for example, they do not get paid by the restaurant owner as much as the people that work like wait staff. They don't get paid as much as people that work in the kitchen because the wait staff are expected to be getting tips from their customers. So it's expected, kind of. Some places in Europe, most places, they add the tip on automatically to the end of your bill to pay for the waitstaff. But anyway, guidance for tipping for many different things are done by percents. Okay, hairstylists 15 to 20%, a taxi or Uber driver 15 to 20%, waiters and waitresses 15 to 20%. Okay, the person that does your nails 15 to 20%. It's a pretty common one. Okay, so calculating the tip that you should give for a service is a percent calculation. And so just like taxes, it gets added on to the bill, like sales tax. Okay, so you go to Fry's Barbershop, which just opened today in Ledyard Center School, and he charges $25 for a haircut, and you want to leave him a 15% tip. Okay, how much is the tip? What is 15% of $25? Okay, so again, the fast way to find the percent of a number is to change it to a decimal. Just do 0.15 times 25, which is $3.75. Okay, so $3.75 tip is 15% of $25. Now, what's your total cost for the haircut? Again, you can do this in 2 steps, just like taxes. You can add the $3.75 to the original price if you've already calculated it. You get $28.75. Or you can do it all in one step by multiplying this charge, $25, the original cost, times 1 plus 15%, 100% plus 15%. So times 1.15. So if you do 1.15 times 25, that also gives you $28.75. All right, so one for you. Your bill for a restaurant meal, including the tax, okay, so the tax is already paid on here, is $45.39. You want a 20% gratuity. What is the total cost of the meal? What is the total cost? So that means you're adding the gratuity onto the original price. You can do it in 2 steps by calculating the tip. 20% of $45.39 is $9.08. And add that on. Or you can do it in 1 step. 1.2 times $45.39, and that is $54.47. So that is tipping or gratuities, same thing. All right, last topic for today. Oh, well, first, the book talks about both of these things, so I just want to reference this in the book, page 263. They'd give an example here about, okay, find the sales tax, if 6% sales tax on a camera, and they do the 2 methods, find the tax or find the total, just like we talked about, all right? But the other type of problem that the book talks about is if they give you the actual price that you pay, which includes the tax, and you know what the original price was, then you can calculate what the tax percent is. Okay, so these problems are a little bit different. They're not as common, so I'm not really worried about them as much. But finding the percent, what percent you're paying between these 2 amounts, this is not part and whole. Okay, the part when you're calculating the sales tax is just the tax. Okay, so you can do that by finding what the tax is. That would be subtracting the total end price minus the sticker price, like they did here, and calculating that it was $9.69 was the tax, and then find what percent of the original price, $129.20, what percent of $129.20 is $9.69 by dividing, that's this step here, okay? And that answer will come out then as a decimal, 0.075, and so that tells you that the sales tax was 7.5%. So that is one way to find the sales tax percent. The other way in 1 step is divide the total cost divided by the sticker price. And if you do that, you're going to get 1 point something. And the point something part, just like when we used it to calculate the total price, that 0.075 will give you the tax percent, okay, or whatever was added on. Okay, so either method here, method 2 is faster, but a little bit confusing, I think, when you're doing this type of problem. All right, so there's a couple problems here on page 263. to do for these percent application problems. Mr. Potter bought a house for $175,000, and then he sold it for a 24% profit. So in this case, 24% profit means he made an extra 24% of what the house was originally worth. Okay. So what did he sell the house for? He added 24% to the cost. Okay. So again, this can be done in one step or two steps. The preference, the faster way is one step, multiply 175,000 by 1.24. That's 124% of the original price. Okay, and that gives you a price of $217,000. Or you could have done it in multiple steps. 0.24 times $175,000 is $32,000. That's the profit that he made. That's the 24%. And then add that to the original price. Either way, you get $217,000. Number 5, a $45 mixer sold for $47.70 with tax. What is the percent of sales tax? Two methods again to do this. My method typically is to find what the tax is, even though it might take a little bit longer. So $47.70 minus 45, I could do that in my head at least. $2.70 was the sales tax. So what percent is that of $45? Finding what percent a number is, what one number is of another, is a division. 2.7 divided by 45 comes out to 0.06. So the answer is 6% sales tax. The other method to do this is divide 4770 divided by 45, and you get 1.06 as your answer. So recognize that that means it was 6% added on to the original price. All right, last common application of percents that we're going to talk about today is grades. Okay, so when you get grades that are not out of 100%, you calculate the percent by dividing the part divided by the whole, the points earned divided by the available total number of points. And that answer comes out to a decimal, and then you move the decimal point and get your percent answer. So it's out of 100%, 69 out of 100, like this person's test score. That's a 69% out of 100. Okay, but down here was a quiz out of 34 points, and he scored 22.5. 22.5 divided by 34 is 0.6618, or 66.18%. 3 out of 4 on effort is a 75%, 3/4. Right? 7 out of 7.5 points on this IXL topic, back when I used to have them be work for 75s, 93%. Okay, so calculating grades is a common finding the percent. All right, so here are some grades now. I made a note to everyone that I realized as I was making this slide up that my grading wasn't weighted properly. Okay, and I'll show you how that happened. So I can look at your percents for both effort assignments and assessments, right? This is IXL topics, quizzes, and tests. Okay, this is current from today. So you get a percent score in each category here. So effort, this person had 81 out of 88 points. Okay, 81 divided by 88 is 0.9205. So that's a 92% effort grade. Assessment, 180 out of a possible 234 points on assessments. Divide that and you get 77%. Okay. Now the thing that tipped me off here was over here for the trimester 2 final grade, it had the total points here. 261 total points out of 321.75. That's one of these is rounded off. Okay. And that's not what's supposed to happen, because that doesn't weight these. That counts all these points as having the same input to your final grade. And it's supposed to be 20% effort and 80% assessment. So I had to go back and fix PowerSchool because I didn't recognize that this wasn't happening. Okay, so some people's grades changed by a little bit because of this weighting. So let's look at what happens here. So up here, the total, if this was not weighted at all, 261 divided by 321.75 is 81%, okay, for this student X. Now, to do the weighted grade, you take each category and you multiply it by its weight, by the percent weight as a decimal, okay? So we do 0.2 times 92.05 plus 0.8 times 77.01, and that weights the assessment grade bigger than the effort grade. And if you multiply these together and add them up, you get 80.018. Okay, so this person, because their assessment grade was kind of lower than their effort grade, when it got weighted a little more, the trimester grade went down by 1%. All right, let's figure out student Y here. What is student Y's effort grade? 65.34%. Not very good for effort grade. Okay, this should be 100. Assessments. So on tests and quizzes and IXL topics, this person got 178.58 out of 234, 76.4%. Okay. Unweighted, this person's average, 236.08 divided by 321.75 is 73%. But the weighted average, effort times 0.2 plus assessment average times 0.8 is 74%. So this person actually benefited by the weighting because their assessment grade is better than their effort grade. And the assessment grade counts more. Okay, I'm going to skip the last one here because I think you get the point. All right, so these are typical real-world applications for percent problems. We've got quite a few more topics here to talk about specific types of problems, but these are kind of the most common ones for finding percent of a number and what percent one number is of another. So some practice stuff on that until we go to the next topic, which will be percent of change.